I think the only appropriate reaction for this episode was,
Holy shit!
"G'day guys, what's going on?" So now we're going to review episode 3, season 8 of Game of Thrones, The Long Night, and Jesus Christ. A lot of shit to pack down in this episode. I was just like, my jaw was just on the floor the whole time. So there's a lot to talk about this episode. I'm just going to sort of just do it in sort of different categories and whatnot. But let's start off. Technically, this episode was just amazing. If you haven't watched it, there's a 40-minute documentary thing that the Game of Thrones YouTube channel uploaded. Check that out. It was very interesting how sort of meticulous they were in building everything and making all the effects work. And as someone who's made films, it's just, you're just very appreciative of the amount of effort that all this crew went through just to create what they have. So technically, this episode was just poor, amazing, absolutely amazing. The cinematography was really good. I especially loved that part when the whites are sort of like cramming themselves up the castle walls. It sort of like reminded me of a World War Z sort of scenario. That was awesome. Oh yeah, by the way, if you haven't realised, there's going to be spoilers in this, so if you haven't watched it, which, really, there was a lot of issues people had with this episode as well. Not so much on the technical side and how it was made, but the story and the script. I'm not going to address all the issues people had with this episode in this video, but what I am going to do is I'm going to create a separate video addressing all the complaints I found about this episode. So I'll address this one though. People were saying it was too dark, and yes, it was quite dark. They probably could have lit it up a bit more, but there was sort of like an immersive sort of feeling to it, like you didn't really know what was going on, and neither did the characters. It was just all really rushed, and just everything was just happening. I don't know, it was sort of like there was an immersive aspect to that sort of scenery where you're sort of like in the thick of it, and I didn't really have as much of a complaint about it as everyone else seemed to. I saw on TV where the brightness settings was sort of upped a little bit more and the room was just dark, all the lights were shut off. So I didn't have as much of a complaint about that, but as I said, I'm going to explain that more in the other video. But I didn't have a huge issue with it. We lost a lot of characters in this episode. We lost Ed. We lost the badass Lyanna Mormont, who takes out a fucking giant. We lost Beric Dondarrion, who also goes out like a badass. We lost Jorah Friendzone Mormont, who also goes out like a badass. And we lost Theon. Now, if you know me personally, I absolutely love Theon. He was probably my favourite character throughout the entire series, with Varys and Jon being close seconds and thirds. But Theon, to me, just had the most interesting, or one of the most interesting character arcs. His story in season 2, when he betrays the Starks and sacks Winterfell, was just, no doubt in my mind, it was the best story in season 2. I'm just going to be honest. In my opinion, Theon's story in season 2 was the best one. Just being brutally honest. His character going was sort of like, fuck, well, yeah. Did not see it coming at all. And there's sort of like a very touching scene where Bran tells him, you're a good man, thank you. And it was sort of like that cathartic ending for Theon, I guess, in the sense that the Bran, the one he took Winterfell off of when Bran was just a young boy, has finally forgiven Theon for everything that he's done. Because Sansa and Jon forgave him in the previous season. So he was to me, he was the best character, or he's my favourite character personally, and I was pretty stunned to see him go. Like, Alfie Allen's performance was just phenomenal. I just absolutely loved that character, and I thought that scene, especially that scene where he sacks Winterfell and he burns the corpses of the Orphan boys, and he sort of like looks down and an utter regret. I thought that was such a powerful scene. It was probably one of my favourite scenes in the whole series, to be honest. But yeah, we also lost Jorah. Very sad. He's been around since season 1, and Ian Glenn's also been fantastic. All the actors who, you know, all the characters who died in this episode, all the actors have been fantastic, you know. And it was just sort of like, you know, you knew it was coming, but you still weren't really prepared for it. It was just like a whole hour and 20 minutes of you just staring at the screen, just in awe and shock. Melisandre also died. I completely forgot about that. She had a very strange death where she sort of tells Davos that she's going to die and he doesn't need to execute her for killing Stannis' daughter. I can't remember her name. Shireen Baratheon. But she says to him, no, this is the last time I'll be dead by the morning. And I wasn't sure if she was going to get killed during the battle or something like that, or she was going to commit suicide, but she takes off her necklace and sort of dies of old age. So yeah, I sort of found it strange. Her character just seems to appear out of nowhere at the start of the episode, and then yeah, that was a very strange sort of. I don't really know how to react to that. It was a very strange. Yeah. So at the very start of the episode, the Dothraki's swords are lit up by Melisandre, and they sort of go off and fighting the Whites, who you haven't seen yet. Everything's just in pitch black, and their lights start going out. And I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed that scene, and it just shows you the immense threat that's just coming for them. And just when they do come, they're just piling on. There's just so many of them just piling on and killing, you know, the Unsullied and, you know, other soldiers from the north and whatnot. And it's just really intense. The whole hour and 20 minutes, you just there and you just going through the motions and just processing everything that's going on. And then even after the episode's end, you're still processing what's going on and just like, okay, now I've got to think about that for a fair bit. That was a lot to take in for one episode. Arya ends up killing the Night King. Did not see that coming. A lot of people were saying, oh, you know, she was prophesied to kill the Night King from the foreshadowing from all these seasons and whatnot, even though D&D have said that, you know, they only thought of her killing the Night King since 2016, 3 years ago. So, but I was fine with Arya killing him, you know. But the way she killed him, I wasn't really, like, she jumps out of nowhere. And you're like, wait, what the fuck? Where'd she come from? There's whites everywhere. There's White Walkers everywhere. So the Night King's dead now. A few people were pissed that, you know, you don't learn anything about the White Walkers and the Night King, and that they're all basically wiped out in one episode after 8 seasons of build-up. But as I said, I'm going to address that in another episode, or another, video. But yeah, I enjoyed this episode. It was very good. I do feel in some areas the script could have been improved, the story could have been improved on the way they've sort of conducted it. But just as like on a technical standpoint and just how fantastic the whole episode looked, and sort of the battle sequences were just amazing. And I just, you know, just from that standpoint, it was just fantastic. And I, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not going to let the little things about the story, you know, undercut the brilliant technical aspects and, you know, just my pure enjoyment for what I was watching. But, you know, I can go through all the little details of, you know, my issues with it in the next video. And there's lots of points where I thought characters were just going to, you know, get off like that. You know, they're just going to die. They were just swarmed by whites. And somehow they all ended up surviving. Well, yeah, most of them anyway. So that was surprising. A lot of people said that they were expecting more characters to die. They were expecting a main character to die or whatever, which is, I thought, a reasonable, you know, thing to bring up. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's still more characters that are going to die. They're not going anywhere. So, and now we've got the whole war with Cersei about to start. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I was on the edge of my seat. It was a brilliant episode. Yes, I did have certain issues with it in terms of story and the way they've conducted it, but it didn't get to the point where it sort of really soured my experience of watching it. So yeah, that's all I really have to say. Rest in peace to all those characters now. I'm just going to say as well that Jon Snow has a lot of plot armor. There is one sequence where he's chasing the Night King, and throughout the whole episode you're expecting him to kill the Night King because he had the whole prophecy stuff, which again I'm going to go through later on. But there is one sequence where he is surrounded by whites. He is dead. Like, there is no way. And then in the next sequence he's sort of like somehow gotten out of the crowd of whites, and you're just like, how? What? And you're expecting him to kill the Night King, so that was, yeah, again, very surprised about how they ended it. And Bran, what was up with Bran? He just sort of like fucks off for a good while, and then he comes back. Now I've been told that he was trying to lure the Night King, because if you think about it, if you were the Night King, you would just sort of sit back and, you know, if you were smart about it, you'd just let, you know, all the whites just fuck everything up and kill everyone, and then get to Bran at the end. Because if you're dead, that's it. Your whole plans, whatever his plan was, is, you know, ruined. So I guess in a way that did help, if that's what they were trying to imply or suggest or whatever, to attract the Night King straight to him. Which at the end of the day you think, oh well, did that sort of mess up the Theon then, protecting him? But anyway, that's it.